Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to make something in Gravity Sketch and then use VARTISTE to add textures and materials and then finally bring it into Unity. I'm going to assume that you already know how to use Gravity Sketch and make 3D models with it, so I'm going to go ahead and make something now. Not really sure what, maybe some kind of creature or machine or creature-machine hybrid. Let's see, I'll use subdivision objects to do that, since I got some questions about that. Let's see, start off like this. Okie dokie. Maybe add another object for the top. And the head here, let's see. Kind of a weird looking thing, but that's okay. Well, we'll just have to make it look better with textures. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and save it. Okay, next step in order to bring it into VARTISTE is we have to export it. We'll use OBJ format. And let's see, check the settings, advanced options, single-sided, smooth, use the welded vertices, and we'll click export. Okay, once you've exported from Gravity Sketch, you'll notice that Gravity Sketch popped up a File Explorer window for you. Now, the easiest way to bring your creation into VARTISTE is to drag and drop the zip file that Gravity Sketch highlighted right onto the VARTISTE browser window. Once you do, you'll see that the model has been loaded right here, right in front of you. Now we can go ahead and get started with the UV Unwrapping. If you try and point at the model and draw on it, you'll see how the cursor is all messed up here. And if you try and draw on the head up here, it just doesn't really work. That's because VARTISTE relies on the UV maps in order to apply the textures to the 3D model. By default, Gravity Sketch doesn't unwrap many of the objects, so we need to do that ourselves. The best way to unwrap the UV maps on objects exported from Gravity Sketch is to take them into a dedicated software program like Blender and use the advanced UV unwrapping tools that they have there. But you can also use the tools that VARTISTE has to get a pretty good job done with the UV unwrapping, and it's all in virtual reality. You don't need to go to Blender or something like that. So to get started with UV unwrapping, got to click More on the shelf down here, and then you click on the Mesh Tools button. That brings up this kind of complicated shelf here with a lot of different buttons. But the ones that we want are in this second shelf here for the UV unwrapping. So the easiest way to go ahead and get started is to add a UV Unwrap Bounding Box. If you click that, you'll see it creates a box around our model. You can grab the box, move it around, make it smaller or bigger. You can also grab these handles to change the axes independently. And I'll go ahead and show you what happens if we unwrap with just this box. I'll click Unwrap. All right, so now it did the unwrapping, and I'll click Draw UV Line so we can see what it looks like. So you can see here by looking at the 2D view of our texture where the UV map triangles have gone. You can see as I'm moving it around, it's showing up on the model as well. It's not so bad. Ideally, you don't want too much blank space here, and you don't want multiple shapes overlapping. So we can get rid of some of this extra space by making the bounding box a little bit tighter. Go ahead and clear the active layer, unwrap, and draw the lines. Okay, a little bit better. With VARTISTE's UV unwrapping, you're not going to really get too much better results than that. But let's say we wanted extra focus on just the head, because maybe we're going to draw a face on it. What we can do is we can scale down this box a little bit so that it just fits the body as tightly as possible. Leave out the head. Okay, we've got some more on the other side there. Gotta make sure we account for. And there we go. It's probably pretty good. Alright, and then we'll add a sphere specifically just to unwrap the head. And let's see, we'll put the sphere right there, right around the head. Make sure everything is inside. Alright, let's clear our drawing now. Go ahead and unwrap, and let's see how it did. Well, that kind of messed up a little bit on the drawing, but you can see there's a whole separate section now just for the head. Alright, that's pretty good. And you can see the body is now has less area in our texture, but now we have more detail to focus on the head. Okay, so let's just hide our shapes, clear the lines, and you can see now if we point at the at our model here, we have a nice, relatively clean cursor. And if we point at the head, you can see there's it's not overlapping with the body anymore. And if we go ahead and draw, you'll see it draws pretty good, pretty much what we want, pretty much what we expect. All right, that's great. So now we can start drawing on our little creature thingy here, but maybe we want to do some textures and do them pretty quickly. Maybe we don't want to spend a ton of time painting every little bit of this model here. So we can go over here to our tools, and we can open up the material pack shelf. I'm going to move this over here, and this will open up some of the pre-populated material packs. You can also drag and drop materials from, say, Texture Haven or CC0 textures, and they'll load up as extra material packs. I'm going to go ahead and just use the ones we've got here right now, but you can always add more from internet texture material resources. So let's see. Maybe as a base, if we're saying it's kind of a robot creature hybrid thingy, we'll start off just filling it with a metal material. And you'll see now we've got this nice metal. These materials really work best when there's some kind of lighting environment. So I'm going to go ahead and load one of the preset lighting environments. I'll use the tank farm. It's a nice outdoor space. Okay, now you can see it's got a little bit better reflections, lighting. You can really see how the material works. Okay, great. So we'll close this, and now probably this creature's head shouldn't be metal. We'll make this more of the creaturey part of it. We'll use maybe this leather texture. So we can click draw with material, and here, I'll make sure this is in view. So draw with material, then I'm going to switch off using the material color so I can give it its own color. Maybe we'll make the creature's head be this kind of bluish green. That looks pretty good. And let's see how that works. Alright, looks kind of creaturey. We can also increase the number of repeats that the texture has to change the scaling. Yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. It looks pretty creaturey. So you can go ahead and draw it this way. There's a lot of windows open right now. One good way to add a lot of cover a lot of area really quick is using these volumetric tools. So I'll just grab this volumetric brush here, and now just anything inside the brush automatically gets painted. So that's a little bit quicker for just covering a lot of area like this. Okay, and let's make sure we get with the guy here. Okie dokie. Alright, cool. Now maybe we can add some extra texture around the edges, lower the opacity. We'll grab our default pencil and let's see, just fill in a little bit around the edges so that there's kind of a little bit of a smoother gradation. Again, if you use Blender to do the unwrapping, it'll really help with some of these seam areas. You'll get be a lot easier to do some smoothing around here because you won't have these nasty seams right in the middle. But we'll go with what we've got for now. There. Can also click, works too. Maybe up the opacity will help. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can add some texture here at the fins. Okay, so now we've got our little creature set up here. Maybe we want one more material just for some, let's add some gold highlights. Let's see, just click the draw with material for gold, set the opacity to pretty high. Let's use, maybe this diamond brush will be good. And we'll just poke, 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 there. Now we've got some variation on the texture, and obviously you could spend a lot more time and make it look a lot better, but this is just a tutorial. So we'll go with what we've got. Alright, now we'll draw some, we'll paint on a little face there and give our creature some good looks. I'm going to come over here and add a new layer on top to do that. And let's pick maybe purple for face colors. Alright, I'm going to use this grunge brush, I think. We'll do a pretty good job. And I'm going to switch to this solid pencil rather than the default, which is a pressure sensitive opacity pencil. So use this this one, which doesn't change the opacity based on how far you push it in, only the size. So let's see, let's paint some eyes, get some eyebrows. Maybe this guy looks a little mean. That's okay. And we'll put a little mouth. And the inside. Oh. That's a little creepy. Let's just lower the opacity. There. Add a tooth. Maybe that'll help. A little bit big. Okay. Well, that's the creature in any case. So now, to get our creature into Unity, we need to export it. It's a good idea always to save it, but I'm going to just go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to save it. Alright, now it's saved. And now, to get it into Unity, we need to export it. VARTISTE exports to GLB files, which are pretty widely supported all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and click Export as GLB. And it'll take a little while. Okay. So now we can take the headset off, and we should have our GLB file. Okay, now the last step is to bring our creature into Unity. So to do that, we're going to use the Sketchfab plugin because it has great support for the GLB file format. So we click on Sketchfab, and then we click Import GLTF. Even though we're using a GLB file, GLTF and GLB are two parts of the same file format. Alright, so now we're going to just drag and drop our GLB file. By default, it'll probably go into your browser's default download location. For me, that's this PC downloads. So now we just drag and drop the GLB file into this little window here and click Import. Give it a little time. Import successful. And let's see, where did it go? Assets, import. And assets, import. Demo creature, and here it is, and we can just bring it into our scene, and look at that, it's got our textures and everything all set up and ready to go. Well, I hope this has been a helpful tutorial, and probably you can make something look a lot better than this if you spend just a little bit of time on it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Or submit issues to the issue tracker, or join our Discord chat server. Alright, bye.